Hello and welcome back to Transport Fever 2, the transport management game where it's our job to help towns grow into cities by providing them with all of the resources that they need to grow. Those resources for this town in particular are tools, machines, food and fuel. Now, previously Newport has only needed tools and machines, but after last episode where we managed to set up the machine line, which is looking very great, so this conga line here of horse and carts that goes all the way up here, all the way over here, right the way up to this coal mine, is providing Newport with machines from this factory and tools from this factory. So Newport's in a really good position. It's currently our most populous city. It's got 332 residents, and as you can see, it's on the rise. However, I am noticing that we could do with some more machines being delivered. The main issue here, actually, is that machines are being delivered to this point right here, but we don't have enough vehicles on this line to transport the machines actually into the town centre where they're needed. So the first thing we're going to do today is we're actually going to tweak this. We're going to add some vehicles to this line. We're just going to add an extra 3 more vehicles. So we'll clone those, keep those on that line, and they should be coming out of here. There they are. Here they come. And actually, while we're at it, let's quickly upgrade these vehicles because they're still running the old horses that we don't want anymore. We now want, I think it's these. Yeah, so these can carry extra capacity. So I'm going to replace those. And now that line should become more efficient. And look, here comes our boat with a bunch of machines and tools. And that is earning us about 120 grand per trip. So that's pretty good going. Anyway, what are we going to do today? Well, Newport now needs food and fuel because we've been doing such a good job of fulfilling its needs. Right outside Newport is this fuel refinery. For that fuel refinery to work, we're going to need oil. Oh, would you look at that? There's an oil refinery right here. Now, for this oil refinery to work, we're going to need crude oil. And oh, would you look at that? There's a crude oil well right there. So it should be really simple to link these three these three industries up and get the fuel over here to Newport. But also, the nearest city to Newport is Land Harbour. And by luck, Land Harbour actually needs fuel as well. So we may be able to start talking about trains in this episode. So I'm thinking we could set up a train line that goes from Land Harbour to Newport via each of these industries. And I'm thinking that may be profitable. I'm not sure. I'm a little bit concerned because trains in general on this game are a very big expense. And right now we've only got 2.9 million in the bank. Actually, while we're talking about finances, let's click here and look at our finance chart. Last episode, I actually left, I think we left off around about here. It looked like we were doing really well. However, after a couple of years, we started seeing our profits drop significantly. And if we look at this year right here, we had 1.1 million in income, but we actually had 2.05 million of expenses. So this was a really bad year for us. But it was about this point where I realized, oh crap, something's gone wrong. And ultimately, it just meant that I had to make my lines more efficient. So I haven't added any new lines, but what I have done is tweaked each of the lines. So I've now made sure that all of the vehicles are sort of like, there's the right amount of them, they're waiting for the right amount of times. Basically a bunch of grindy stuff that would have been really boring to do on camera. A lot of it involved just sort of sitting and looking at our hubs. So for example, this is one of our busiest hubs, and this was backed up. They were literally horses and carts all the way up and down here. Maybe I'll spend some time in another episode going through the troubleshooting that I do to get rid of the traffic at these places. But I've managed to get that set up pretty well now, and we are making good profits year on year, thank God. So my plan for today is to set up a train line between Land Harbour and Newport. Fingers crossed it will go quite smoothly. The biggest trouble I can see will be trying to get my train stations in these towns in a way that's not going to impact their growth at all, but is still going to deliver all of the resources that they need to continue to grow. Not to mention the cost that that is going to entail, unfortunately. It's going to happen. We may as well just accept it. It's going to cost us a fortune to do this. What I'm going to do to start with, I think, is set up the train lines to these 3 industries first, because that will involve playing about with the cities last. So let's get that set up really quickly. Hopefully it won't take us too long. So what we're going to do, we're going to get a train station, and this is going to be a cargo station. We're going to have 2 sets of tracks here, and I'm thinking about making it a little bit longer. So it's going to cost us, oh, that is long, that is expensive. Whew, these things cost a lot of money, turns out. We're going to pop this right here. And what's the best way to angle this as well to get into Land Harbour? Maybe we could even do something like this. Let's get a road, first of all. So if we get a road, a country road, and we pop it around here, let's do something like this. And hopefully this train station will connect up to it. Yes, it does. Okay, so that's pretty good. So now we can just do, let's see, where does it connect? Okay, I think that should be okay. I'm trying to get the shortest possible route between all of these stations because ultimately, the shorter the route, the quicker the train can get there, and the quicker the train gets there, the more money I make. So there we'll have this go right there like that. And then at this station... Oh, now this is going to be hard because this is going to expand. So we're probably going to want to do something like maybe get it tucked into this mountain over here. What if I do that? We'll put it there. I think that should give it enough room to grow. All we're going to need to do then is get some road extended out to it. Hopefully like that. So now if I click on it, is it connected? Yes, it is. Perfect. So that's how stations laid down between these industries. Now we need to get the tracks connected to them. So let's get our tracks. Now, the issue with this, I've put these at awkward angles, unfortunately, and it's going to mean that it might slow our trains down. Hopefully it won't, though. So I'm going to come straight out first of all, because we're going to have a crossing here, which is not great. But, oh, actually, I think what I'll do, I'll just drag this over here and let it work itself out. So if I go to there, and then we go around like this, does this work? Yes, it does. Okay. Now, you'll see here, though, that it is actually... We're only getting like 50 odd miles per hour there. So I wonder if there's a smoother way to do this. To keep it going at 75? There's really not, is there? We'd have to loop all the way around there. That's just not going to happen. So we'll just do that. We'll join those up. That's fine. And then we're going to do the same for this track. So we're going to start that there. If we zoom out a little bit, it'll probably be easier. And if we zoom in over here... Oh, too far. There we go. So we can connect these up. Just like that. Okay, there's those two connected. And now we need to connect this last station up over here. Again, should be fairly simple. That's not too bad. 66 miles per hour I'll live with. And then that side there, again, not too shabby. Okay, so that line is set up. Perfect. Now we just need to connect these up to Land Harbour and to Newport. So let's do Newport first because that's our biggest town, could cause the biggest issues. We need to find out where in Newport we need the fuel to be delivered. So if we click on our buildings, here we go. So fuel needs to be delivered around about here in the industrial district and food needs to be delivered over there. So bearing that in mind, I actually think I'm going to grab a road. If I can do something... Now this could cost us a lot of money. Yes, it probably will. Oh, it's not so great, but I'm just thinking if I can do something like this. And then we get our train station. And we're going to want a passenger station here. And probably a terminus one. So this is one where it just stops at the end of the line. Yeah, that reaches basically everything there. So that's a pretty good position to put it in because if we want to deliver anything else through this train, it will literally touch every industry. So I've got to try to get this as square as possible. That's probably a good spot for it right there. And right now I've got 2 passenger lines on there, but I'm going to want to configure this because we're going to need some cargo lines as well as passenger lines. So for right now, let's get some... let's get a platform. Oh, I know what I can do. I can get tracks. I'll put tracks there. And then I'll get a platform, a cargo platform, and pop that outside the tracks. And then I can get some more tracks and just do it the other side. So we'll have 2 stops for cargo, one this side of the platform and one that side of the platform. So that should work just fine. Then we can click on this one, get our tracks. And for now, I'm going to leave the passenger tracks where they are. But I am going to delete this road. And I need to try to hook this up to that track right there. I don't know the best way to do this. Let's just, I suppose if we drag it out, let's see what that looks like. It does cause a bit of an issue right here. It does drop down to 40 odd miles per hour. That's not so great. I might want to take a different angle at this. I wonder if I could adjust this station so that it's more smooth. I'm going to do that. Okay, let's press X on that a minute. We're going to pause the game a second. And I'm going to destroy this station and these couple of tracks here. I'm just thinking about making this as efficient as possible, ultimately. So if we get this road and we're going to want these tracks, we're going to want this to be a bit smoother. So the station, we're probably going to want to be on a better angle. Maybe something like that instead. Now that's going to cost us a lot of money. It's going to be quite high up. I just don't know the best way to do this. I guess like that. Let's try that. And then what I'm going to do is get some tracks We'll destroy the ones we've just placed here. And we'll just try and get a better angle. Because what was happening earlier, from this station, we were having to slow down quite significantly. Oh, that's still not good, though. If I'm being honest. That's still not great. Let's just delete all of the tracks from this station. Because it should just be a straight shot over there, right? So let's get that one and drag that over. And now it's going over the water. Do I want that? No, I don't. Okay, it's still going 75 miles an hour. Okay, so it drops to 73 right there, but we can live with that. And then this one, hopefully, will be about the same. That one, again, just drops to 73 there, but that's fine. So there's that one done. And now, hopefully, this is on a better angle to meet up with this train station over here. So I wonder if there's a way to turn off all of these symbols, because it does get quite annoying. So this one, we need to connect up to here. Yeah, look, it's 75 miles per hour all the way along this track now. And that's important, because if our trains can go 75 miles an hour, you're damn right we want them to go 75 miles per hour. We need to speed up time to get some more money, because we're running out of it. Okay, I let the game sim a little bit, so we've got some more money to play with now. Let's get some tracks again, and we're going to just pop in this line right here into Newport. But with this line, we're actually going to have it come up quite snug to this line right here. We're going to keep them together until the last possible moment. So I'm actually going to switch over to doing it from this side here. And there we go, like that. Now they're connected. Okay, so we've left the passenger lines for right now. We've got the cargo lines in to Newport, but now we just need to get the cargo lines into Land Harbour, and we're going to need to get a station set up in Land Harbour as well. So where does Land Harbour need these deliveries? Well, they need them right there in the middle of town, which could be tricky, actually. So we need to try and think about where we want this station to be. And I'm thinking Land Harbour actually has a route in from here and a route in from there. And I'm not sure whether they need this route. So what I think I'll do is delete this for now. We could put it back in later, but I'm just thinking about, yeah, let's just delete this road for right now, because no one's using it. I don't want to delete that, really. It's going to cost me a lot of money. Can I delete a smaller amount of this? I probably can, can't I? If I do something like this. If I do that, and then I should be able to delete it. There we go. And I think I'll do the same for... I don't know, actually. No, what I'll do, I'll have this road come out a little bit further. Oh, no, I'll have this road join up there. And then that road can join there. There we go, I'll just do that. And now we'll get our train station and we'll put it against this road. And I'm hoping that should hit everything. So this is going to be... Now, this might need more tracks for a start. So let's get 4 passenger tracks in before we do anything. Because Land Harbour is going to be, hopefully, our Land Harbour. We're going to try and make this a very... basically a central point for a lot of our goods. And to do that, we're going to need a lot of capacity for people and for goods. So if we do that, that's hitting basically every industry there. Well, I say basically, it actually definitely is. So that's good to start with. Now we're just going to configure it and pop in some cargo tracks. So if we do configure, and we'll put a track in along this side here, and then same thing as we did on the last one, we're going to get a cargo platform, and be very careful about where to put this, and do that right there. Get our tracks, put it in there, and with that done, now we should be good to connect Land Harbour up to the rest of our track over here. So we're going to need, again, we're going to need some rails. We're going to need the cargo part to connect up. So let's go from there, and we're going to need to connect up to there. That's good, okay. And then same for this one, but we're going to want this to meet that line right there, and then connect up. And again, we're getting pretty good speeds here. I think it just dips as we get into this station. But we can live with 70 miles an hour. That's quite fast for these trains, particularly in the early game. Okay, so now our track is set up from Land Harbour to Newport and back. We just need to get the trains and set up the lines. And I've just had a thought. We're actually going to need to set up our signals first, because these trains are very picky about what tracks they go on. So what we're going to do, actually, initially, I think we're going to set up just a small amount of our passenger lines. We're going to do this, and then we're going to get that line over there to meet up with this one at some point, maybe a little bit later down the line. So it's really important that we give these tracks a point where they can switch, so the trains can get onto different lines. and also put lots of signals on there so that trains can go on the same line at once. It's really complex. I don't really want to spend a lot of time explaining it, but you'll figure it out as I build. So I've got a feeling just from the way I think I've set these lines up in a way that it's not really going to work very well. Let's drag it out a little bit longer and see if now we can get these to sync up over here. We can. All right. So first of all, for the cargo lines, we're going to want to pop in some S-rails so that they can swap. So any train on this track can get onto that track. And we're going to do the same for our passenger lines. And it just helps to do all of this at the same point for each of these lines, just because we'll have all our signals in one place then. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Oh, that's too curvy, apparently. They do get picky with this sort of thing. There we go. So now each of these lines can swap with the one next to it. But what if there's a train on this line that needs to get over to like this one? So that's where it gets a little bit harder. And to do that, we just need to keep swapping them over. So we keep needing to add more lines and add in the S-curves to get basically from one line to the next. So that's the first swap. Now, if you're on this line, we can come up here and we can swap into this line. I'm going to just slow this down as well. And we can get onto this line right here. Now, if I'm on this line and I want to get over to this one, we're going to need another joining track. So we'll pop that right there. And same the other way around. So now those two can swap. And the same for these ones. Just like that. And now, once again, we're going to want to do these outside lines next. Just like that and like that. And so I'm going to carry on setting these up, and then I'll come back and show you once they're done. So after all of that, we've finally set this up, and this is what it looks like. So we've got some switch rails here, some switch rails there, switch rails, switch rails, switch rails, lots and lots of switch rails. It's very hard to say switch rails over and over and over again. Anything with S's in, I find, is very difficult. And now we're going to need signals. So the signals we're going to put before and after each of our switch rails, and we're going to do one going each way. So trains coming in and going out can respond to these signals, so they can stop and they can go basically when they're ready to. So now any train coming out of this station will stop at these signals if there's another train on a track that it wants to get to. And then we're going to put more signals at the end of these switch rails so that trains coming in from this direction, again, will stop if there's another train on the track to allow it to sort of switch over. So quite complicated. It takes a little while to set up, but now that that's set up, it means that this station is kind of future-proofed, and I'm quite pleased with that. Didn't take too long to do. But we need to do the same for all of our stations now. So at some point, we're going to want to make sure that trains can swap over between stations. It's really important. It just helps with longevity and making sure we don't have to do it further down the line. Let's get some signals there, and then we'll do it the other way as well. So now, if a train is coming in or out of this station, again, they're going to stop here at the signals to cross over onto the track that they need to get onto. And you'll see this in action when we get a train set up on here, and it will all make sense if it doesn't make sense right now. But I'm sure that I'm hoping that you followed along. It is a bit complicated though. Trains are a tricky subject in this game because setting up tracks is just, you don't really think about it. With roads, because cars are fully autonomous, they can just, they can drive wherever they want to. So you don't really need to worry about it. You have one road, don't need to set up any signals, jobs are good in. Train tracks, very different, requires a lot of signals. And so let's just, and that's just that. There's no other way about that. Right, I'm actually thinking, for these, I'm going to get rid of this signal in a second. I'm even going to get rid of these crossroads because I've realised we may have some really long trains here. So I'm actually going to put the crossroads for this bit further down the track. When I've played the game before and I've had really long trains, sometimes they don't quite turn around properly, and we may see that later on as well. I might be going into too much detail here. If I am, I'm sorry, but that's just how I play the game. I go into detail. But basically, we can have some very long trains. And so the further away these signals are, kind of the better for that sort of thing. Okay, let's follow this track. And now, again, we're going to want... here we have a road that we got to get over. So we're actually going to put some signals either side of this road to make sure that basically the road's clear when we want to go past. But then we'll do some more switch tracks, some more switch rails up here. And we'll pop in some more signals. And the more signals we put on these tracks, the better, because it just means we can have more trains on each track. Okay, tracks and signals are now set up. So the last thing we need to do is get a rail... I don't know what it's called, actually. What's it called? A train depot. So we need to get a train depot, and we need to pop this down somewhere, hopefully near our track. Let's pop it down. Oh, I tell you what, we could actually put it down at the end of one of these. Maybe like right here. Yeah, let's put our train depot down there. That's quite a convenient place for it. We'll move it in the future if we need to, but hopefully we won't need to. And that will mean that any trains that come out of here will be able to get anywhere that they need to in the future. So that's, yeah, I like that. Good placement. Okay, now we've got our train depot. We've got our station set up. We've got our signal set up. And we've got all of our industries hooked up. It's time to start creating the line. And I think for this, let's click a new line. We're going to have, first of all, we're going to have to go from crude to the oil refinery. So let's pop that in. That goes to fuel. And then from fuel, we're going to want to go into Newport and deliver it there. Can I please get... there we go. But from Newport, we're actually going to want to go back into our fuel refinery and pick up some more fuel and take that over here to Land Harbour. So that's quite a long trek. So here we go. So we're at Land Harbour, right there. At this one, we're going to be picking up crude oil, and we're not going to drop anything off. Then at Land Harbour Central, so this one, we're going to be dropping off our crude oil, and we're going to be picking up refined oil. Then at Newport Fuel Refinery, we're going to be dropping off our refined oil, and, oh, hang on, that one, and picking up fuel. Then at Newport Branch, which is down here, we're going to be dropping off fuel, and then back at Newport, we're going to pick fuel up again. Very complex, this line. And then at Upper Land Harbour, we're going to be dropping fuel off. So that's quite a complex line, but basically it just means we're picking everything up on each step of the journey and taking it to its desired destination. Now we're going to call that, let's see, well, I guess we'll name these lines T for train, and we'll call this Fuel Newport Land Harbour. There we go. Perfect. So our line is now set up. Last thing we need to do is buy our train. And this is actually the fun part for me. So we get to pick which train we want to buy. Let's start by checking what types of trains we've got. So we don't have any electric trains. We don't have any diesel trains. So all we've got is steam, which is fine. So over here, we can see how much the train's going to cost us, and the locomotive is going to cost us, and how much per year we'll be paying for it. And I think for us, it's really important to have a good top speed, but also a good amount of power and tractive effort, because that will allow us to ultimately carry a bigger load. So the Russian Class V Type 1 seems very slow. The Class T Type 1 is faster and more powerful, but a lot more expensive. Get away that one. We've got the Russian Class GV, that's 34 miles an hour, so that's the same speed. Oh, but it's much more powerful. And it's got more of a tractive effort. Okay. What's the upkeep of that? 114,000. Okay. Then we've got a Russian Class B. That's 31 miles per hour. It is, again, better horsepower, better tractive effort. More expensive again, though. And what's the PV? So the PV is 1 million. 181,000 upkeep. That's a lot, isn't it? But that goes the fastest so far. So that goes 40 miles per hour. And it's got the most power so far, 408 horsepower. And same tractive force as the Class B. I only feel a little bit more. What's this one? Oh, that's 28 miles an hour. I don't care about that. 37. What's the difference here? Oh, there's a huge difference in power here. So this would be able to carry a lot more, what are they called? Wagons. So we could carry more wagons with the Russian Class OB. Oh my gosh, it's so much more expensive though per year than like this one. I think we're going to go with the Russian Class PV. So let's add that to our train. So you can see it down here. So everything that we add will be down here in this box. And now we get to go to wagons and go to cargo. By the way, do we have any multiple units? No, we don't. So cargo wagons, the only ones we can have is tank cars. So that's really easy. We can just literally add a bunch of tank cars to this. And I'm going to go literally until either we run out of money or until this becomes poor. So this will tell us how well our train is going to be able to support this sort of payload. So let's see how many we can add. So we're mediocre right now. Oh gosh, this is going to be a big train. This is going to be a big train. Okay, we've hit our limit. And we're still a mediocre, so that's pretty good. Our capacity now is 140 barrels of crude oil or refined oil or fuel. So that's pretty good. Let's buy that train. And then if we go to... Oh, here we go. And then we can just pop it onto that line. And now, fingers crossed, we should see the train coming out here. Yep, here comes our train. Let's speed things up. How big is this going to be? This is going to be big, isn't it? Oh my gosh, it goes on forever. It's almost, I think it's a little bit bigger than the platform. That's not too bad. What speed is it going? Does it tell us the speed? Ah, okay, so down here it's going 26 miles per hour. I want it to go faster than that. What's it going to pick up here? How much it's going to get on there? 70 so far, so it's half full, but that's to be expected because the line's brand new. It'll probably get more on it very soon. I want this to get up to 40 miles per hour if possible. So hopefully it'll get up to 70. Well, the track around here is up to 75 miles per hour, but this train can get up to 40. So I want to see it max its speed out. It's okay if it doesn't get to max speed as long as it's carrying full loads. I'm a little bit concerned. It's only getting to 30 miles an hour. It's still like over double the speed of the horses though. So I mean, let's look at this in proportion, right? So that just made £332,000 for dropping off that crude oil. So that's pretty good going. Unfortunately, it's not going to make anything on this leg of the journey. So what I'm going to do is let this run for a couple of years, and then I'm going to come back and show you how well it's doing. And then we may need to tweak it a little bit, so we'll figure that out as time goes on. Okay, people, so this should be our first run where this train is operating at maximum capacity. So we've got 140 barrels of crude oil here, and we've got 70 barrels of refined oil waiting at this station. So I want to see how much money we make off this when it drops off the 140 barrels, first of all, because that's a full load. So that'll be interesting to find out. Let's see. So it is, at the moment, we're losing an awful lot of money, though. Okay, so that made 675,000, and now we're half full on the refined oil, which is to be expected because it's 2 barrels for every 1 barrel of refined oil. And then at this station here, we've got currently 30 lots of fuel made up for Newport. So that's really all that Newport wants right now as well. Oh look, we've just got one of our first cars. It's 1902 and we've just got a car. Amazing. So at this station, it's going to make 358,000. That's pretty decent. And now it's got 32 lots of fuel on board. And I wonder what it will make at Newport. Newport is looking great, by the way. It's bustling right now. Okay, so it's just coming into the station. What's it going to make? 139,000. That's not very good. 3 lots of the fuel on board are actually going all the way back over to Land Harbour, I assume. Because there's definitely still 3 there. I wonder why it's kept 3 on board. That is quite funny. Anyway, so we should be picking up... Here we go. So we've got 9 fuel left for Land Harbour. 11. Well, it's making more as we go. It's actually got some oil stored. So this is kind of at maximum capacity right now anyway. So we don't need to provide this with any more oil because we're already producing all we need. Because if we actually click on Newport, Newport only actually wants 19 fuel from us. So we don't need this to be huge. And Land Harbour needs... Well, actually, Land Harbour needs a little bit more. Land Harbour needs 30. I'm thinking we can tweak this though, guys, because if we look at this train right now, a huge amount of it is not being used. Not to mention, I've figured out why we're only getting up to 30 miles per hour. It's because the carts on the back of this can only travel at a maximum speed of 31 miles per hour. So we could upgrade those because I've just had some new carts coming. We've now got a different tank car, which can go up to 50 miles per hour. And I think it loads faster. Yeah, the loading speed is faster. Basically, there's a lot to like about this. But it does weigh more. It weighs twice as much. So that is an important factor to take into consideration. So what I'm thinking we can do is, rather than have this collect 140 crude, send it to here, and then basically be working on half a load to there, and then even less than half a load to each of these stations, we could actually just have a second train that runs the crude oil to the refined oil. And we could just have it keep going back and forth those 2 stations. And that means that we'll probably end up with enough refined oil and enough fuel to fill up this train. And we could probably even downsize this train to save some money on maintenance. So all that's quite complicated. Let's try to work it out together, though. The first thing we're going to need to check on, though, is this line. Because if we're going to have a second train here, we're going to need to make sure that each of these tracks is being used efficiently. So if we click on Manage Line and we look at Land Harbour. So... we do have a lot of stuff up on screen right now. So as you can see, we're only actually using 1 track to go in and out of this station, and we don't really want that because it means that we're not able to use this track for anything else because we've got 1 train going up and down. So what we're going to do is say on our way back to Upper Land Harbour, so from Newport, we're going to add a stop, and we're just going to say you need to pass through this waypoint right here. So now it's actually on like it's now using one lane to go one way and one lane to go the other. And hopefully it will be doing that all the way along this line. Fingers crossed. It looks like it is. Is it? Oh, right up until here. So at this point, again, it merges onto the same line, and we don't want that to happen. So what we're going to say is after Newport the first time, before Newport Branch, we're going to add a station, and that station is going to be one of these ones. So again, so we've got a route that goes, so right-hand line is one way, and I don't know how, so this line goes that way, that line goes that way. And ultimately, that will just keep our trains traveling in the right direction as we add another line on. It's the best way I can describe it. It's quite difficult for me to explain, but hopefully you get the picture. Now we need to come up with a second line. So what I'm going to do is click to add a new line. This line is going to go from the crude oil to the refined oil, and that is all it's going to do. But we need to make sure that it's traveling on the right track so it's not going to interrupt the other train. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have it pick up crude oil at this station. I think that would be a good idea. And then it will cross over onto that line to go in this direction. But on the way back, we're going to want to add a station. We're going to want it to go through probably that one. So I think that should be okay. And so that should stay on one line for as long as possible. It does. Let me just double check. Yeah, so for the most part of the journey, it's going to be going in the right direction. There'll be a couple of points each side where the train in between will have to wait. And another thing we're going to need to do is add in some extra signals between these stops. But for now, this will do. So at Land Harbour, we're going to be picking up crude. And then at Land Harbour Central, we're going to be dropping off crude. And that's all that this train is going to do. Okay, with that done, let's now edit our line, get our signals, and we're going to pop signals in all the way along here. And it may seem really pointless, but it's going to allow two trains to travel on the same piece of track at the same time. Without this, we'll have one train waiting at a station until this whole piece of track has been vacated by the other train. And we don't want that because it will slow us down and make us less efficient. So this might be overkill, but I'd prefer to have too many than too little. Because honestly, it can just slow us down quite considerably. Right, that's done. Line set up, signals are in place. Now I need to add a train to that line. So let's click on here, buy a vehicle, and we're going to get a steam train. I think we're going to use the same one because we can go 40 miles an hour with it. So we're going to click to add that train. Now for cargo, I'm going to actually use the new tank car, and we're going to add this until this gets to, I don't know, a decent amount basically. So how much can this pull? Okay, so it gets pour there. So we can get up to 144 capacity before it gets to pour. So on the flat, it will go for, oh, I didn't know it would do this. So top speed for slopes. Flat, it's 40 miles per hour. In 3 minutes or 1.4 miles. On medium incline, it will go 16 miles per hour in 3 minutes. And on high, there's not enough power for it to go up steep hills. If I take this off, we'll get to 40 miles an hour in 3 minutes. Does this get any better? Or does it just do 3 minutes for everything? Oh, here we go. So at this point, it will get to 40 miles per hour at about 2 minutes, 144 seconds. That's okay. I think I might go with that. So that's 108 capacity. If we buy that, and then we're going to pop that onto our new line. Line 1. Oh, I need to rename that for a start. Line 1 is now going to be called Train Crude Refinery. There we go. And then what we're going to need to do is edit this line. So let's click on the Lines tool. And we're going to edit this line so that we're now going to not pick up at Land Harbour. So at Land Harbour, we're just going to get rid of that stop altogether. Land Harbour Central, we're going to pick up, we're not going to unload anything, we're just going to pick up crude oil. Then at Newport Branch, we're just going to, we're going to be, that'll stay the same actually. Where's Newport Branch? Oh no, so at Newport, sorry. We're going to be picking up that, dropping off that, that's fine. Newport Branch, we're going to be dropping off fuel. Back at Newport, we're just going to be picking up fuel. And then up at Land Harbour, we're going to be dropping off fuel. Right. So that line has now been edited. We should have, hopefully we've got 2 trains going. Yep, here we go. Here's our second train. He's already on its way. It's just made 612,000. And now it's on its way back. Okay, and this one should switch on to this line. It does. Perfect. And now you see that one stopped. It's because it can only go when this gets past the next lot of signals. So we might have some slowdowns like that, but for the most part, we should be okay. And now the last thing I want to do before we finish this episode is I'm going to adjust this train so that we haven't got as many carts on there. So we're going to click Manage Vehicle. We're going to go to... is there an edit? Here we go. Yeah, edit selected vehicle. And we're going to get rid of a bunch of these cars. I actually think we're going to get rid of all of these cars because we don't need these little ones anymore. They only go up to 31 miles an hour, and this is capable of going much faster. So we're going to add these on until we get to a capacity of, let's say 70, let's say 84. 84 should be fine. Will that let us get to 40 miles an hour quite quickly? Yes, it will. So let's try that. That should save us some money. And now it's just, again, it's a waiting game. So bear with me while we let this unfold, and I'll come back and show you the results. Well, guys, I think we can call that a success. So in 1905, we were making about 305,000 from our railroads, and the year or two before that, we were actually making negative money. In 1906, it went up to 419,000 of income, and our ticket sales in this period stayed about the same. The only thing that changed was our maintenance costs. However, 1907 rolls around, we get a flashy new train, set up those 2 new lines, and now we're making 3 million in ticket sales. We've got 2 trains running, and our vehicle maintenance is only a touch higher than what it was in 1906. And we actually made almost $1 million that year from just those 2 train lines. So that has worked a treat. And if you look over the last 3 years, our income has grown from 1.2 million all the way up to 2.4 million, which is just incredible. Now, I would say this 1.2 million, we did make a lot of investments. That was the year that we bought the new carts for the trains. But yeah, really good. We didn't make any investments for 2 years as I was watching, and this is what we can expect it to look like going forward. So if we look at our finances chart, look at this. The income, yeah, there's been a couple of years of huge expenditure, but the income has been trending upwards for a very long time. And yeah, the expenditure too. But the income is outgrowing it, which is important. So if we go back to the start of this, so back 50 years, look at our charts. We are making real progress here. We're in 1909. We started off all the way back here, and actually a little bit further than this. We started off in 1850 we started. So this is 10 years into the company, and we're making good gains. This is where everything went wrong, and this is kind of where we started this episode. We had just recovered. We'd seen our income had started to regrow. Maybe we were about here. Our income had started to regrow, but we hadn't really seen enough. This is where, this is where we started, because this was where we made our first huge expenditure for the trains. So this is where we started investing in trains, and that's what the total train investment was. And our income for that year was 2.5 million. Since then, we've grown our income to 6.54 million. That is absolutely incredible. So I'm really pleased with that. Really happy with how this episode has gone. I hope you've enjoyed it too. We didn't get around to setting up our passenger lines, but maybe we'll do that next episode. And just before we go, I want to find out, what is Newport? Oh my gosh, Newport is now in the 400s for its residents, 420 residents to be precise. And Land Harbour is up to 123 residents from 61. That's a really good progress. The only other thing I want to check on is Almaty, which I haven't checked on for a very long time. We're having issues here. This is not producing bricks fast enough. Shipment is not good enough. We may need to set up a train line into Almaty, because I feel like this whole line is not working as we need it to. Oh, look, we're maxed out on bricks. So we need to provide it bread. Otherwise, it's going to just stop growing. And the nearest farm is over here. So that's a job for next episode anyway. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.